Hello and welcome to episode 41 of the Talk Nintendo podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Casey Gibson, and alongside me this morning for a change, the one, the only, Perry Burkham.
I got my coffee, I got my half and half, and I got my big, huge cup full of ice water. I'm ready to go, baby.
Now let me ask you a question. What you grind those beans with this morning, Perry?
I gotta tell ya. So, the best wedding gift you can give anyone is a coffee grinder. A nice coffee grinder from Cuisinart. We all know Cuisinart. They're they make very nice products. And me and my wife have used it every single day since we got it. And so, heck yeah, Cuisinart. Yep.
Perfect.
Yep. I would love to be sponsored by Cuisinart. That would be the best.
Yeah, imagine getting. And they don't even have to send us like money or anything. They just can send us more coffee grinders and different coffee accessories.
Maybe we can give one of those away, like on a giveaway.
All of a sudden, we're like, "Oh my god! I can't believe how many retweets this thing's got. 10,000. It's like people want the coffee grinder.
Oh my goodness! They sent me 200 coffee grinders. Help me! I'm drowning. Well, yes, it is a morning. It's fun. So we are recording in the morning. It's a little different this week, but it's not that much different. We're gonna probably have a shorter episode. You heard it. You heard what I just said. We'll see if that actually sticks.
I know that's the kiss of death for us, but I actually think this week it will be a shorter episode. We're not gonna have a topic of the show like we normally do. Instead, we're just gonna do what we've been playing, the old eShop, and of course, not a heavy week of news, but some good little tidbits in there. And I believe you have a little Craigslist find for us, right?
That's right. So, let's jump right into it. What we've been playing. I have been playing a game that came out a couple weeks ago called Mighty Gunvolt Burst.
From the creators that brought you Mighty Number 9.
That's right, Inti Creates. So, yeah, which, they get a bad rap and for that, which is not fair. I feel like it wasn't their fault at all for the development. Which is funny because they're the developers, but I feel like, what a mess.
I think Kickstarter for video games
I like
is
to
sort
say
of
that
sloppy
they are the
jalopy.
creators of Blaster Master Zero, which is a phenomenal game that came out right when the Switch came out. Beautiful game, and this is almost like, it's kind of like like in the family of that game. Like same menus, same look, same kind of physics style, but pretty different art style inside of the game, but. It's pretty good. So, have you played this game?
I've not. I've seen screens of it. I'm actually looking at some screens now. It really does look more like a more traditional, old school Mega Man game, opposed to like the weird art style that that Mighty Number 9 went with, where it's sort of like trying to be fancy, but then sort of like missing the mark. Like I much prefer the way this game looks, opposed to how Mighty Number 9 looks.
Yeah, it's gorgeous. It's colorful. You can just kind of look at that if you just look at screenshots. It's just a really pretty game, and it's a really straightforward Mega Man game. You can play as Beck from Mighty Number 9, or Azure Striker Gunvolt, or Azure Striker, whatever his name is.
Yeah. Azura. I think.
Azure, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway. And the funny thing, so it's cool, so this is Mighty Gunvolt Burst, right? So Mighty Gunvolt, it's like putting both those together. And I think it's funny because I think this game is better than
the original parts.
Yeah. I mean, of course, there's not that much goes into them. Like like this game isn't as complex well, I mean, it's probably just as, I mean, Mighty Number 9, right? Like, it has a lot of good stuff going for it, and then it has a lot of bad stuff. It plays more like Mighty Number 9. But anyway, it's just a very simplified Mega Man game with a twist, and the twist is that your weapon is highly customizable. There's a point system, like how many points you can use to upgrade it and to change it, and you can change, I mean, it's like there has to be like 1,000 variations of what you can make.
So it's not like the original Mega Man where you unlock new items after defeating bosses. It's more, there's more depth to it, is what you're saying?
Well, right. It's like, imagine unlocking a new item after a boss that you could change. It's like adding a new scope to your gun, you know, or adding a new this or this.
Okay, that sounds pretty cool.
No, it's very cool. I mean, this is everything, Casey. Like, seriously, like, it comes down to, like, how many bullets on the screen at once, what their trajectory is, how fast it goes, like, what kind of a bullet is. Like, it can be an electric, you know, it can be a fire, you know, like everything, a laser. There's even like a drill. It does everything. It does whether you can unlock the ability to shoot in 45-degree angles. That takes a lot of points. You can make your bullets bigger. Just everything. Like, it's like a huge menu system. Kind of daunting at the very beginning, but then you kind of understand what's going on, and then it's not at all. And then you can save like 30 different weapons that you can pick from at any time.
Now, do you still unlock like a base weapon after each boss, and then you can customize it from there, or do you actually purchase and unlock the base weapons through that same way as the upgrades?
So every time you beat a boss or level, in that matter, you have the option to pick what you want to unlock. So every level has like 3 or 4 unlockable items, and then so like one of them, for instance, is adding 300 or whatever points to your stockpile so that you can beef up your gun more. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, so or you can unlock a new weapon to add like a new variable to it. I always pick that because you can replay the level and then get the 300, or replay the level and then get the
at a different time.
And it's way better. Oh, you can also you can get one that like seeks people out, so then it just ends up being like this crazy, awesome, powerful gun that just you can just totally kill everyone on the screen. But it's not like too powerful, I guess. Yeah. So the customization is really, really good. I like it a lot. I almost feel like it almost is too much, actually. I mean, like, if you're into it, it's really nice, but I mean, the levels aren't really that long. So it might have been nice to maybe scale it back and simplify a little bit.
Yeah, it becomes a little overwhelming at times.
Yeah, I mean, just a little. I don't think it ever becomes so overwhelming that you don't want to do it, but I just mean it kind of becomes an obstacle where it's like, man, do I want to make a whole nother thing, or do I just want to play this level? It's like, well, I could probably make a better gun, but it's like, I have to go through all the stuff.
Yeah, so, I just sort of want to get into the action at this point,
Yeah. No, it's not a huge deal, and like I'm saying, that's not a really bad problem, because you know what you're doing, you know what you're getting into, you know that you can make a gun, and you're fine with maybe not using the best gun possible. You just want to try to go through, but yeah, it's really cool. I like it. Now, another part is the bosses, right? That's kind of the level design's good. Nothing crazy. Like that's the thing. It's like this isn't really pushing the envelope on anything. It's just a standard Mega Man game. And the bosses are pretty good though. They I mean, like I said, they're the same thing. They have their enemy patterns and their tells, and then you have to dodge them, and they're pretty freaking hard, you know. I'm not a huge Mega Man. Like, I'm not very good at Mega Man games, you know. Mm-hmm. I like the concept. Pretty simple, you know. Because you know, I like stuff with a little more. We can change it up a little.
Yeah.
Like I've talked about before, like Gargoyle's Quest. You know, you can hover and clamp onto walls, and then by a commando, you can swing around and stuff, and you can play a Mega Man game. Like it's kind of like Mega Man plus this, you know.
Yeah, it's not just straightforward. Yeah, it adds a little wrinkle to it.
Yeah. So, but it's like I get it. It's a simplified thing. But man, some of those bosses are super hard. So, and it takes a while to learn their moves and stuff.
Is the layout similar to classic Mega Man, where you know you sort of pop into a menu and it's like, oh, I can attack any level I want at any point, you know, and
yes.
sort of go. Okay,
yep.
All right, that's.
Yep.
I figured it would be because you know that's sort of cool, but I like that option.
And I should say, NT Creates also legitimately made Mega Man 9 and 10. So
yeah,
you know they know what they're doing. Like, and I think that. Yeah, I think that they're a great developer. I almost wish that they could do not Mega Man. Like, I wish that they would kind of... Like, I wish Capcom would hire them to do something else. Like a Gargoyle's Quest game or something, you know?
Or even like a Castlevania or something.
Or Blaster Master Zero 2. I want them to make another Blaster Master game. I think that's in the realm. But this is a great game. It's $9.99. It's on Switch. It's also out on 3DS, which we'll talk about pretty soon, which is cool. I would recommend it. I think that's a good price. I think anything more than that wouldn't be. But I think that it's a really fun game. It's a really quick game. You can play. It's just a nice game to have where if you have 5-10 minutes, you can play a level. It's a great, portable game, and it's great on the TV.
Have you beaten it? Have you beaten it?
I've beaten it kind of. There's like extra thing, right?
So like the main quest though, like as far as hours wise, do you was it closer to like 2 or 3 hours kind of?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess a Mega Man game, if you know what you're doing, is never really particularly long.
Right, exactly. It's the same length, I'd say.
Okay, but I'm sure, like you said, with the customizable items, it seems like there could be quite a bit of replay if you get really into that, sort of.
I should add. Yeah, and I kind of completely missed one of the things. There's also a combo system that I don't really like very much. I think it's kind of weird. It's like, so it's not timing based, but it's proximity based. So you have to be close to them when you defeat the enemies, and then like you get a combo. So it's like you shoot, and then you don't want to kill them yet. You want to get up close to them and then shoot them, and then so you're kind of taking a risk of getting hit, but then you get a combo. It's weird, but you can build up points and try to go through the levels. I wish it was different. I don't really. I mean, I'm sure I could get it and get used to it, and people are and like it. I'm not a big fan, but that's a big part of the replayability, like you were just talking about. So
yeah, that's pretty cool. Like you said, I guess if not for everyone, but wasn't there some sort of combo system in Mighty Number 9 as well? So maybe they tried to bring that over.
Well, yeah. See, Mighty Number 9 had that really something I really liked about it was the that dash move. Like I liked that. I mean, where you can kind of just glide across the level really fast. Do you remember that? Like
yes, yep, yeah, and I think that was sort of like how you would combo is like you'd have to like dash over to another enemy real quick, right? I can't say I've actually put that much time into Mighty Number 9. It was pretty limited, but That's what I
No,
sort of
yeah.
remember from it.
Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of like that, but there's no dash. I wish there was though. And you can play as either Beck or Azure, but there's no difference between them.
Yeah,
which I wish there was.
Just appearance.
Yeah. The only difference is like the story wise. There's like there is a difference in the story, but I don't, that doesn't really change. But if you want to read more, David Lloyd of Nintendo World Report wrote a review. Check it out. And up next, we have a game that I can hear the echoes of from the distance.
No, I'm just kidding.
Fire Emblem.
Echo shadows of Valentia. Yes, I've been playing well, actually, I should say I wrapped up Fire Emblem Echoes, and I'll just start off with, it is my favorite Fire Emblem on the 3DS. So that,
Interesting.
I think it's easily better than Fates. A lot of people looking back at Fates seem to really not like it because they sort of stretched the same game over 3 times, sort of, you know what I mean?
Dude, that's why I didn't get it.
Oh, but to be honest with you, for me, I started out with Birthright, then I went to Conquest, and then I went to Revelations, and I enjoyed every game better than the one before that. But it was like, for how I did it, I played Birthright, and then I went right into Conquest, back to back, and then I took like a year break almost, and then went back to Revelations. So I mean, that might have helped. If I had done all 3 at one time, I might have not enjoyed it as much. But
yeah.
And then Awakening, I played way back in the day, and obviously that's a really great game. That sort of brought Fire Emblem to the mainstream, as far as one of Nintendo's stronger IPs. For me, with Echoes, it was one of those like, okay, a brand new Fire Emblem game is coming out in a couple weeks, and I was like, I'm not really that excited for it. It was one of those games I knew I would pick up and I knew I would play, but it was just sort of like, well, it is what it is. It's another Fire Emblem. Like, I generally know what Fire Emblem is, so I was like, alright, like, I'll play it, but not really super stoked about it. But then actually getting into it, it is so different from the past 2 entries, or past 4 if you consider Fate's 3 games, that it was just really refreshing. For instance, the triangle, the weapons triangle that we've all come to learn and love or hate, that's been in the game, since being like the first American release had that weapons triangle thing going on. So this game doesn't have that. So that, like, because this is a reimagining / remake, I think they lean more towards a reimagining of the second Fire Emblem. So, this was before all these things that we've come accustomed to have been implemented. So it feels sort of archaic in some ways, but it also, like, to me, that's what's so refreshing about it. For instance, instead of, like, your magic just using, like, you got a certain amount of uses or whatever, now it actually uses HP. So you can use, you can use all your magic every time, like, it doesn't matter, but you're going to lose some HP for each spell you cast, and, stronger spells are going to take more life from you. So it's one of those, like, balancing acts, like, yeah, I can use this heavy attack here, but, it's going to take 6 of my 24 HP away, like, that's a pretty significant blow. But it's just, I don't know, like I said, it's so refreshing. Like, even things where, like, we're sort of accustomed, like, oh, we could sort of pair up my units and, like, they'll sort of boost each other's stats. And sure, I'll only be able to use one of them, like, as far as attacking. But, they sort of pair off each other in attack. And, like, that's not in this game anymore, or not anymore. It's not in this game because, again, it's, this is all groundwork from a time before all that has been implemented.
I think that's kind of weird, to be honest. Like, I feel like they could have put it in, and
I mean, I'm sure they could have,
it wouldn't have changed anything. right?
Well, I guess the balancing of how the game works, I mean,
Yeah, but I
and
mean,
like you said, they could have balanced that out, but to me, it was refreshing. Like, it was like, okay, I'm not going to be able to do that. And then, how,
right. It just kind of strips out all of the, like, right. I totally get what you're saying.
I feel like it makes you rely more on planning out and making sure your units are going to be safe by themselves, you know what I mean? Instead of like, oh, well, I could just pair up these two units and like they're both really strong, and when they're paired together, like their defense is crazy, and I'll just have them sort of go wreck everything on this side, and they'll, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say you can
Mm-hmm.
cheese it, because obviously, it doesn't, they're not that strong where if you pair it up, it's like game over. But, if you do have two super duper strong units and they're sort of going around, they could sort of take care of business. This, you don't have that option, which is, to me, like I said, was just refreshing. And then even, with the romancing each other, like there are still support classes in this, support stuff in this game, but it goes back to before Awakening, where it was just like, oh, they battle next to each other, they can get C, B, and then up to A, and like you learn more about the characters that way. And I don't know, to me, with Awakening and Fates, it just got tiresome dealing with like all of that like support class stuff. Like there was so much of it, and like so many different characters. Like this was like not every character is going to be able to have a support class with each other. So it was nice to find the characters that do, and like, all right, like I'm gonna keep them riding together, close to each other, because I want to see how that progresses. And I think, like, while sort of simplistic, it's just refreshing at the same time. To be like, okay, like, oh, I sort of get to see how these two characters interact, and like, oh, that character likes this one, but like this one doesn't, but like it doesn't want to hurt their feelings, and it just, it was enough, you know what I mean? It wasn't so
Right.
robust that it was like, world changing or anything, but it was just enough to keep me like, oh, this is a nice change up. I can sort of get a little background and then get right back into the action of the battle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, another thing that is really cool is this game sort of reintroduces the like dungeon crawling aspects, which I think do a great job of breaking up. I don't want to say the monotony, because it's not like the battles are boring per se, but it's just enough to sort of change it up where pretty much you've got your overworld map, and it sort of works like a Mario 3. Like there's a line, and you can sort of go either which way you want, and they'll have like random encounters, sort of like the like Hammer Bros that like would just pop up. You know what I mean, in Mario 3.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
for sure.
when I first talked about it, I said how annoying that was. But moving forward after that point, I never encountered a time where like I had to backtrack really far and they kept getting attacked by these things. So that was
Mm-hmm.
a big complaint, that I had initially, but it turned out that it really wasn't a big deal down the road. And so essentially, you're going to be moving along, and there's set battles that you're going to go and you're going to do, and then there are some battles that like take place at like a keep or a cave or something. So like you'll fight that boss battle, and then you can go into the cave or the castle to explore. And the castles, like, they have a couple of rooms and like people to talk to generally. But the caves are cool because you go in and then you're in third person perspective, and you're going through, and it feels sort of actually like Hyrule Warriors esque. Like you're going down, and then you'll see a monster, and you can run and attack him, and then you engage in a mini battle. That they're generally pretty easy, and it's just a good way sort of to boost up your team's experience.
Mm-hmm.
But they were fun enough where like, and they're snappy enough where it's like, okay, like a couple turns, this is over. You keep exploring, and then you can find shrines that like, oh, this is a shrine of health, and like drinking this from this shrine will increase one character's HP. Like, who do you want to do it? And like they have those for different skills and abilities.
Yeah. I really like. I love how if you attack the thing first, then all of the units on the enemy's team will have health down
Yep.
when you start the battle.
Yep.
Like I could totally see, like it kind of takes like it kind of takes it into like a JRPG realm instead of like strategy. Like, I couldn't you totally see a Fire Emblem game that was just like that?
Dude, I would
Where
love that.
I think it'd be great. Like, I mean, it would be branching off maybe a different path, but I think that they could keep the maps in there, and then they could even do like where you're walking around um as a big 3D model, like in like Hyrule Warriors. I mean, like like Fire Emblem Warriors, but then you actually do like and they could see, it's weird because I feel like they could do even like real time action stuff with the characters, and then but then actually putting in RPG mechanics into that, where like you level up when you kill people, you can switch between people, and then go into actual mini battles like this would be really cool as well, as a whole game. And I could see that being the Switch Fire Emblem game.
Well, I was going to say, I'm
You know,
surprised that, at this point, I think it's safe to say that Fire Emblem is one of Nintendo's top tier franchises, and to avoid fatigue of, like, oh, like they released 8 Fire Emblem games in the last 5 years and they're all strategy RPGs, it could be one, and obviously they're releasing Fire Emblem Warriors, but I feel like that could be something
true.
that would be able to keep pushing the IP forward and be face fronting, but also like you could look at it and be like, well, it's a very different experience. I'm not getting bored of playing this game because it is different than the mainline ones have traditionally been. You know? So I think that could be something cool.
And I feel exactly, and I feel like you kind of hit the nail on the head right there with what Fire Emblem Warriors is gonna be. If you think about it, it's a great idea for giving more background to the characters. It like keeping interest in the Fire Emblem timeline, like giving more characteristics to characters, and but with a different game. And now it's kind of like Smash. It's like, obviously the most famous Fire Emblem characters are the Smash characters because they're in Smash, and everyone loves Smash. And then it also goes back to the Fire Emblem games. But then now, so you kind of see Marth and Roy and Ike and Lucina, even like you kind of see them as legendary Fire Emblem characters. And now with Fire Emblem Warriors, you can give more, that like those characters will be worth more now with that game coming out. And I think it's kind of like a what do you call it, like in between, a palate cleanser, but still keeping the franchise relevant.
Yeah.
And so I think, I mean, I think they could take it in new ways, and I don't think anyone would be upset. And I think I mean, there probably is going to be another 3DS Fire Emblem game. And
I don't know,
there probably
man.
will be.
I mean, it wouldn't shock me.
They said they're going till 2019. So I'm saying it's like they could take the new Fire Emblem on Switch in a completely different way, team, and then keep the old team making another Fire Emblem for people who like that too on 3DS. And maybe even do a cross release on both. But
yeah. Well, just I guess to put sort of some last minute things on impressions on Fire Emblem Echoes. First off, the game's presentation is incredible. The 3D looks really nice. The game it's not fully voice acted, but it's literally like 95% voice acted. Even when you go into towns and you talk to folk, there's usually like, let's say for every 3 town folk, maybe 1 is text only. But even like the town people like that don't really have much to say are voice acted. All of your characters are voice acted. And it's funny how much
and it's well produced.
Yeah, it's funny how much just something like that actually just stands out to you. Like, wow, like they didn't spare any expense here. They pretty much went almost fully voice acted, and I think it really pays off. Also, the characters throughout the game I found to be some of the most enjoyable characters, from a top-down in any Fire Emblem. Of course, there's, like you said, when you look at some really iconic heroes, and then some of the secondary characters are like, throwaways, like, oh, okay, cool, whatever. And then, like, you have your handful of ones you really like. But to me, it was like, sure, there was a few characters I didn't really care about that much, but, like, for the most part, I really, really cared about almost, like, my entire team. I really thought the interactions between them were funny and, meaningful, and just overall, I really, really loved the cast of characters in this game. And then as far as the design of each, battle, some of them in the beginning were a little like, okay, I feel like it's just like a big open area, and it's just like, hey, go battle. And, that sort of rings true to some of them. This is, I believe, an NES game remade, so it's like back then, they weren't going like super duper intricate on level design, but there are some that are just absolutely brutal. They, you have to infiltrate a castle, and this castle is just jam packed with soldiers and enemies, and it's like, okay, how am I going to crack into this castle without, putting half my team, in a vulnerable spot? So I thought it definitely ramps up to a very difficult game. I was playing on normal, so like I can only imagine how difficult, when you move up the ranks, especially like Lunatic and stuff. I think they have Lunatic in this game. But yeah, it's like, I mean, I'm not that much of a pro player where I do that, but for the people that are looking to ramp up the difficulty, this game is definitely going to challenge you. And then I guess my last little bit that I thought is cool is just the economy in this game is really great. You get these gold and silver, coins you work up, by, either when you're exploring the caves, you'll find, chests with, silver or gold in there, or just by defeating some enemies, they'll have like a coin purse on them, and you'll rack it up. And then when you go to towns, you can upgrade your weapons via using, coins. And it's cool because you don't get so many coins, and it's like, all right, I can just literally upgrade every single party member's weapon to the top tier. There is some sort of strategic thinking, like, okay, whose do I want to upgrade? How, do I want to upgrade a bunch of people's items just once and, have like a bunch of 2 second tier items for all my guys? Or do I want to take, 1 or 2 of my weapons and really, jack it up to the strongest and then sort of leave everyone else to fend off with just a regular weapon? So I think that adds some nice strategic thinking. And like I said, I appreciated that it's not just all like, hey, here's a ton of gold, like go upgrade everything.
Yeah.
But overall, I totally, if you're into Fire Emblem and if you are, having a little fatigue with it and you're worried, like, I don't know if Echoes is, it's going to be more of the same, I think it changes up the formula enough, while still sticking true to its roots, that I think you will find some enjoyment out of it. And like I said, to me, this is easily the best 3DS Fire Emblem. Alrighty, and enough about that dang old 3DS. Why don't you tell me something that you've been playing for that good old Switcherino?
Yes, I will. A new game came out, one that I've been anxiously waiting for, and that game's called GoNNER.
Capital NZR.
That's right. Yeah, GoNNER. I think it's GoNNER. I've actually never...
GoNNER.
GoNNER. Yeah. So, this game is maybe the first roguelike I've ever played. Maybe. I mean, roguelike is a weird emerging genre that I feel like is not well defined. Where it's like, I'm pretty sure you could classify Tetris as a roguelike, like we've talked before. It's just kind of a weird...
Yeah, it's like a game that you play and then you start over again with the goal of trying to get further, right?
Right.
I feel like that's sort of like the loose terms.
Right. And does it have to have... Because that sounds like an arcade game. Like, like with that definition, does it have to have random? Does it have to be generated. I don't think so, but it's like
I
don't
feel
know.
like that's generally another common trait, but yeah, I don't know if
So it's like
if that's necessarily true. Maybe it is, because if you think about it, yeah, like that would separate like an arcade game where you're playing like, oh, there's a set amount of levels and they're all the same,
right,
opposed to like, oh, we're gonna just throw sort of random elements at you and
right,
you sort of need to react on the fly.
right. I get it. Like I understand what the concept is, and I think it's really cool. But I feel like it's not a new idea. Like you know, the idea I think it's kind of the oldest idea with video
Yeah.
games is starting from the beginning every time you play. But
And
yeah,
I think it also lends itself really well to indies because the game doesn't necessarily have to be huge, you know what I mean? Like,
exactly.
and still be able to deliver a really fun, addicting, game without
Yes.
having to be, enormous in size.
Right. And yeah. So GoNNER is a platformer also, and it's almost a run and gun game. Something that I kind of wish. Well, you'll understand when you play. It's great. Now this game is freaking hard, but it's not too hard. I mean, you'll understand. It's good. Like you want it to be hard, otherwise it wouldn't be fun. You start off. I don't think there are any words in the whole game.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, I think the only time you see letters are on like the menus to start or when you die. But then otherwise, yeah, there's no explanation of what's going on. You don't know. It's a point system, so it's like you always have your point counter in the middle on the top of the screen. But so you're trying to get as many points right as you can. You don't know how to get points though. Like I was playing and I was like, I'm not getting anything. Like like I don't know. Like what the heck, But I guess if you don't want to know and you kind of want to figure it out on your own, I would skip ahead like a minute or two. I'm gonna go ahead and tell you if that's okay.
Yeah, no,
It's
that works for me.
I kind of wish that someone would have told me, because I had to look it up anyway, so might as well save you the click. So the whole point of the game is to kill enemies. That's how you get points. There's little levels that you're gonna run and gun and jump your way through to get to the end of the level and then go to the next one. But you're gonna want to kill the enemies in there to get points. Now, how you get points is with glyphs, as in like hieroglyphs. They're these little squares that on the top right of the screen you'll need to combo. And it's just time based, where you have to kill someone and then kill another thing within like a few seconds, and then kill another thing, and you got to do it 5 times. And then once
you get a hieroglyph.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And then now, once you get a hieroglyph, that's everything about the game, or they call it glyph. So let's say you have one glyph. Every enemy you kill, you'll get 1 point. And then when you get 2.
Cool.
Yeah, very cool. And then when you get 2 glyphs, you get 2 points. Now, I'm not sure, and this is why I don't know. Don't quote me on this, but I think that even different enemies might offer different values. So maybe
if you get a bigger, more difficult enemy.
Yeah, I think it might be worth like more, but I don't know. But you get the gist. Where you want to build. Those are the most important things. Are the glyphs. You want to build those up. And then if you die, it's over, right? I mean, that's the thing. Like, and you can die. Well, I'll explain that in a second. But so you want to get the glyphs, and then if you do die, I think the first time you'll need 6 glyphs to cash in to keep going on that run. So it's not necessarily over, It's not necessarily done. You can keep going. Now,
I sort of like that idea.
Oh, it works great. And then, you'll go through these levels. I don't know how many, maybe 5 or 6 or 7. And then you'll hit, once you have like around like 12 or like 9 to 12 glyphs is usually when it seems to hit the room before the boss. And the room it's a safety room, and it's where you can Death is there, like the guy Death, and and he can he's kind of like the shop, and you can cash in your glyphs for a new head, a new gun, and a new special. Now that's where you start out from the beginning. So let me start there. So the game is it's pretty great. So you start off as this body, this little blob of a body with no head. And it's hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious.
I was just gonna say, I want like, what does getting a new head even mean? But
Exactly. So you need if you are just your body, then if you get hit, you're dead. Now you need a head for life. So the standard head that you get from the beginning is just a normal skull, and you get 5 hearts with it. Okay. Now here's the thing. So you just gotta touch it to grab your head, and then you keep it on. Now if you get hit, that'll cost you 1 heart, and your head will fall off.
oh no.
And then if you get hit again, you're dead before you get your head back. So with this, you can die in 2 seconds. Like you can start the game, get hit, and then as you're going, get hit again and die, and it's like the game's done.
Yeah. So yeah, because I assume there's gonna be portions where they're just like the screen is flooded with enemies.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yes. And it's, and now it's like Mario style where, I mean, jumping on the enemies is you can always jump on the enemies. Some enemies make it so, like, they'll see you and then they'll get into, like, a porcupine spike and you don't want to jump on them.
Oh, no, yeah, that'd be no good.
Yeah.
You lose your boots.
Yeah, exactly. So that's a very interesting concept, and it's pretty scary because it's like, okay, I can get hit, but I need to grab my head as fast as possible. Otherwise, if I get hit again, I'm dead. And
yeah,
so
then
it's
you're
like, yeah. So, and now that's how that works. Now there are different heads that you can find, and then it's really cool. This is, and I think you'll appreciate this too. When you find a new head, then that will be available at the very beginning of the game whenever you start, and you can to choose from.
I like.
So,
oh, it's okay. That
there are unlockables.
Okay.
You do get rewarded, for finding things, and there are secrets too. There are actually secret levels that you can find to unlock stuff too.
And that's for every run moving forward. So it's sort of like,
yep.
Okay, that sort of takes, yeah, like you said, a little bit of the roguelike, but actually rewarding you permanently for doing well at the same token, which is I sort of like that, balance, so it's not just all like, oh, well, that runs over, it didn't mean anything, aside from just a score.
Exactly. So one of the other things is the guns, and it works the same way. If you get hit, the gun flies off too, and you got to pick it up. And there's a store so it's kind of a 3-button game besides the D-pad, right? Or but you jump. That's one of the buttons. Using your gun is X. That's the other button, and then your special. So different guns. There's a standard gun, a shotgun. There's a laser gun. There's even a gun head.
Just blast bullets out of your head.
And what it does is it doubles the amount of bullets that you shoot.
Ooh, so that actually sounds super useful. Yeah.
Now, it's interesting. It's a very weird because you don't have infinite bullets to use. You have probably 20 bullets. But the thing is when you need them, I mean, usually you'll be able to find, enemies will drop these little yellow rectangles, and then you will be able to fill up instantly. Well, not instantly. It's funny. It kind of you grab them, and then it takes a second or two for them to be loaded, which I think is kind of fun. I love that idea of it's well, you kind of have to wait just a little bit to load it. What is this, some sort of magic?
I was going to say, I could see some instances where it's just go. There's too many enemies. Hurry.
Yeah, I mean, this is a second, but it's exactly.
A second could mean everything.
No, totally. And, but yeah, so you get the gist of that. It's really fun. I mean, when I started the game, I was like, okay, I want to conserve my ammo. I want to do most jumping. That is not the case. It's like you basically use your gun for almost everything. I mean,
Yeah, it's
you
your main
know, or it's
source
probably
of
like 2/3 gun, 1/3 jumping.
yeah.
And then the last thing is the special. The first one you start off with is so it has its own button. You press it. The first one like makes all the enemies freeze for like 3 seconds, which you can see how that's useful. So it's not as useful as it sounds, but you can if you can learn how to use it, I'm sure that could
Effectively, yeah, it could be a game changer in certain spots, maybe.
Yes. The special that I use all the time, it's this. It just you hit it and then it's just like you pulled out your Tommy gun and you're going. I mean, and it just shoots all these bullets.
Say hello to my little friend.
Exactly. And the cool thing is it doesn't take any ammo. It's its own thing. But
that's really nice.
It's really nice, especially for like the first boss and everything. So yes. So there's 4 worlds. You go through the world. You face the boss at the end. It's super hard. And then so that's how the game works. I haven't gotten to this. I've beaten the first. I've almost gotten to the boss of the second world. But I think it took me around 2 hours of playing just to get to the end of the first, just to beat the first boss. Now, I'm not a good video game player, so it probably takes Casey 20 minutes, but it is the gameplay feels great, and the thing you have to talk about is the art style. Oh my goodness. Is it the coolest looking game you've ever seen?
It's very dark, but like colorful dark. At the same time.
Exactly. I mean, okay, so yes, and I just think it's just beautiful. It's simple and it's really pretty. As you walk, like the platforms kind of load in front of you as but it's not a hindrance. Like, I mean, it's kind of sometimes when you're trying to make it through the level. Sometimes it's like, okay, like you can't really see the platforms until you're near them, but it never becomes an issue, really. Like it's not like in any game, I don't know, like Mario, where you know how the platforms how they appear when they get near them, and then you have to jump and kind of take blind jumps and be careful where you jump. Mm-hmm. It's not really like that. You don't really have those issues. It's a pretty big spectrum of where they come in, but it just looks great. Like I said, the big neon colors, beautiful. There's like this funny story with this whale. I don't know what's going on.
Well, if you want, I've got the little thing up from the Nintendo site. GoNNER is a tough-as-hell score-based, procedurally generated platformer with roguelike elements. GoNNER is also a story about friendship between I-K-K, I guess I'd say, Death,
yep,
and a space whale named Sally.
A space whale named Sally. That's right. And you like Sally. There's
She's
like
a good gal.
There's like a little level in between. It's really cool between levels that you can just. It's like a little thing, but whatever. Yeah, this game was at PAX, and it's from Raw Fury, and we saw. Raw Fury is publishing it, and we saw all the other games. I think they had like 4 or 5 Switch games there. We didn't see GoNNER because that was it had its own booth. And
you know what
we
it
never
was?
made
I
it
remember.
Around.
Yeah, I remember we walked up to GoNNER, and they were like, "Oh, well, the dev or devs, I forget, aren't here." But then we started talking to the Dandara guys, remember? And then we jumped over to that booth. Yeah. And then I think after that point, we, it just sort of slipped our mind. But
yeah, I know. I always wanted to make it. I remember looking up and seeing it, seeing the banner for it. It's like, I really want to go check that out because it looks so cool. Never did. I'm kind of glad I didn't though, because I'm glad that it's a brand new thing to me.
Yeah, nice and fresh.
In a way, But oh man, it's so good, and it's only $9.99, And I know you picked it up, so I can't wait to hear your thoughts on it. I absolutely love it. I think it's a brilliant game. I think it plays well on the Switch. It plays well with the left analog stick on the Switch. And it's kind of come to it's made me realize, and this with Cave Story, that the analog stick on the Joy-Cons is obviously way better for platforming than the analog stick on the Pro Controller.
Yeah, nice and smaller.
Yeah, so it's a different league. I wouldn't say it's as good as a D-pad, but I mean it works very well. So it made me feel a lot better about, just kind of I wasn't really thinking about using the analog stick too much for platforming because of the D-pad, because I love D-pads, way more. So yeah, I just think that if anyone was kind of worried about that, because that's always kind of a concern for me, but no, it feels good, and it's a great game. Highly recommend it. I feel like anyone could have a go at this. I don't know, maybe not anyone. If you don't like hard games, but it's like, I don't know. It'll take skill, If you don't like skill-based games, I guess you won't like it. But very fun, very cool looking game.
Yeah, well, I did pick this game up on Thursday, and I have not played it yet, and that is because of what I have been playing in its stead, which has actually been the Zelda Breath of the Wild DLC pack number 1. Actually, at work yesterday, I was like, all right, I'm gonna jump into a little GoNNER. Well, my hour lunch break, I'd play some GoNNER here, get a hang of it, and then when I turned it on, I still had Zelda open from the night earlier, and then I proceeded to play Zelda for an hour. Mm-hmm. Now, these are early impressions. I have not done the trial yet. I actually decided to fire up a new save for Master Mode, which, as we all know, is the really ramped up difficulty, where all of, the red bokoblins are now blue ones, and everything's ramped up, and you get hit a lot harder and whatnot. So I was like, you know what, I don't usually love, the super duper challenging hard modes like this, but I'm like, you know what, it seems like a good, I haven't played Zelda in a while, and I could go back to my original file and just do shrine hunting and stuff, but I was like, you know what, let's give this a whirl. I'm going on vacation this week. That's sort of why we're recording a little bit earlier and in the morning opposed to our normal time. So I was like, this could be a game, over the course of the break, I could sink some hours into just here and there, getting back into the amazing world of Hyrule. And let me tell you, this is tough. Now, the first thing you're going to notice off the bat is that enemies can see you from a country mile away. Like, literally, I'll be running, and I'm, not even close to an encampment, and then you see that, little, exclamation point or question mark over their head, and you're like, oh, crap. They've seen me? What? And this becomes, when you're that far away and you're not trying to go into that camp, it's not really a big deal, because it's like, oh, they might blow their horn and everyone might get all riled up. But, you're far enough away where they're not going to be able to hit you or anything. But when it is a camp you need to get into, you really need to actually really sort of sneak around and be very careful. So now, for instance, I just finished the plateau. So, I've unlocked those abilities. I'm up to the point where it's like, hey, meet me over at the Temple of Time to get the paraglider, and that's where I saved off. So remember, all right, the first one of those shrines are in the super snowy area, and you need to sneak in or go in and kill those bokoblins, and then grab the red peppers or whatever, so you can cook the food to get into the cold. Mm-hmm. Now those enemies are super tough. So at first I'm like, all right, I'm going to try and take them out, and it's I just didn't have the equipment. They're all up there, and I'm trying to fire arrows, and a critical hit is doing nothing to these guys with a regular arrow. So I'm like, okay, how am I going to do this? So then I was thinking, I'm going to sneak in, just grab the peppers. So I do that, and I'm like, now, is there a place to cook these back, where you meet the old man originally, because I know he has the fire and like the cooked apple there. So I went back there and he didn't. Like there was no way to cook. It just was an open fire. So I'm like, shit. I guess I need to go back. Like, how am I going to take these guys out? They're so strong. And then I had an idea. I went up into the snow area and I grabbed one of those big, large metal slabs with the magnetic. And it was so much fun, dude. I just went over there and I just whacked the crap out of them with it. Like, from like a mile, like, because they were stuck up there. Because I don't know if you remember, that's, that encampment has, like, the bridge up to it is vertical. So you need to, like, shoot it down with an arrow to get up there. I didn't do that, so they couldn't get down either. So I was just like, oh, it was so much fun, dude. Like wind it up and just like 90 degrees from where they were, like boom, and like the one went flying off the encampment over the waterfall down, and I was like, oh, that was so satisfying. And I just ended up taking out the whole encampment doing that. And
Nice.
I think honestly, like I'm thinking
You're
that might,
sick.
yeah, I think that might have to be like how I move forward. Like, all right, I need to find like a big metal object that I can grab with telekinesis and just hit them with, because that does a ton of damage opposed to my weak little sword.
Right.
But it's just, the difficulty is ramped up tenfold. Now after, I'm trying to think. So you go down, the old man's like, hey, like, go check out, you bring up the first tower. And then he's like, all right, like, look for the shrines and stuff, like, there's a 3 on here, and then I'll give you the paraglider. So the one, you're like, oh, there it is. It's, like, right in front of me. And, like, you start running up, and it's, like, clear in your sight. And then I think they showed this a little bit off in Treehouse. And all of a sudden that, like, platform with the balloons and, like, a bunch of goblins rises up. And you're just like, oh, my God, like, this is, like, oh, my God, this is brutal, So, like, for me, I was like, I can't even, like, there's no way I'm going to be able to take these guys out. So, like, I had to end up sneaking around. I actually just ignored them, snuck into the shrine through a back door, like, sort of, crawling and sneaking my way in. So it seems like, at least in the early goings, it's going to be very, like, I need to sort of sneak around and be very methodical and make sure not to alert too many people, because if you're going to get to a point, if you've got, like, 2 or 3 of those guys, like, you're probably going to die.
Sounds awesome. I love that. Wow.
Yeah, so I don't know, I don't think I'm going to end up playing all the way through to the, to beat the game in master mode, but I'm going to it might be my, like, hey, I got a half hour, nothing else, like, maybe I'll play a little Zelda throughout. I'll definitely play some more throughout the vacation this week, but so far, I'm enjoying it. It's funny, too, like, the load screens, like, everything's in red now, like, to signify that it's master mode, and I'm like, oh, baby.
Yeah.
But overall, like I said, I haven't tried the, what's it called? The Trial of something or another?
Trial of the Sword or something?
Yeah, I haven't tried that. I've heard people say, saying that's very difficult as well, also. So, and I haven't checked out, actually, even just, like, my tracking of my first file with that new feature. I forget what that's called too.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall so far, I mean, if it's for me, it was a good excuse to get back into some Zelda that I haven't played in a while, and we'll see how much I play it moving forward. But so far, the challenge has been fun, and it's just been nice. It's actually funny, like, as I was watching, you wake up and you walk out of the cave, and then Link goes up to the bluff there, and that's when it sort of splashes the title screen, and it's like, all right, here it is. I got nostalgic feelings, dude. I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And I was like, I didn't know you could be nostalgic for something that is like 4 months old at this point.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
But I felt it. I felt it. Yeah, no, Zelda, man.
Such a fun game. Yeah, I can't wait to pick this up. Yes, I want to get through some games right now, and then I'm going to pick it up as like a reward,
Yeah,
so
and treat
I
yourself.
want to finish Cave Story and stuff, so.
But that's, I think, going to bring us to an end on what we've been playing. As we said, we're going to get into the eShop Roundup and the news after this little break. Alrighty, and we are back, and you guys know what time it is. That's right.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw!
The eShop Roundup. Yeehaw! Yes, and we're gonna start with the Wii U downloads. We have a few this week. The first one is Preston Sterling.
What a name!
Yeah.
Is that the guy who made it?
For $3.99. Yeah, yeah. And it's funny because it's called that, but then you click on it, and then the game describes itself as Preston Sterling and the Legend of Excalibur. So I don't know why that didn't make it on the full name, like on the official name, but whatever. It's weird. I don't know how to explain it. eShop, man. Yeah, this is an adventure action puzzle game, and I can't really tell. Like the screenshots look really nice, like detailed, cool games, cool like. But
visuals.
It looks like a point and click, like it looks like that. But then it kind of looks like you can walk around. I don't know. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, I'm looking at the screens now, and it sort of gives me like a Myst vibe a little bit. Except maybe it's not all in first person. Like you said, it looks like maybe you can sort of putz around a little bit with your boy Preston.
Yeah, but it looks nice. Preston Sterling.
Yeah. P.S. baby.
Yeah. P.S. I love you. All right, so moving on.
We've got a couple of TurboGrafx games coming out. First one is Devil's Crush for $5.99. And
Devil's Crush.
This is like a pinball-looking game, right? Or a pinball game of such.
Yeah,
with skulls.
Yeah. Well, remember we had that like game I described it like as like Super Metroid Pinball.
Yep.
This one, I mean, it's another pinball game that's kind of like, you know, instead of trying to look like a pinball table, it's like taking the pinball idea and then making a fun aesthetic around it. You know, with quote, wandering skeleton knights, sorcerers, and even a giant face that changes from a goddess to a sinister serpent.
Whew. Sounds scary.
I know it's a little too scary for me, yeah.
I'm out.
But yeah. What?
I'm out. Not for me, yeah. The Devil's Crush. Boo!
Too scary for this guy.
Yeah.
Now, moving on though, we have this game, another TurboGrafx 16 game, Bonk 3, Bonk's Big Adventure, which is the funniest name, the most stereotypical name. It's like, what can we call this one? How about Bonk's Big Adventure? Yeah, that's vague enough.
I love the first screenshot on the website. It's just him like leaping headfirst into like a pyramid of like purple dinosaurs.
Yes.
Good old Bonk.
Dude, I want to play these games, but I'm not gonna buy it on Wii U. Like, I want it on my Switch.
Yeah,
Give me it on my Switch.
Even if it came out for 3DS, that could be like a purchase that like I wouldn't mind making, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's an action platformer. The big, colorful, cartoony sprites in these games. I mean, they're great. It looks great. I love the colors of this game, and I want to play it. So,
yeah, the TurboGrafx 16 really produced some good-looking games. Like I said, I love how colorful it is, and the character models are really, really nice. Even like the what I assume is a boss in one of the screens looks really nice as well.
Yeah, and they're cartoony, you know, like
Saturday morning vibes, you know.
Yeah, it's not like trying to look scary or anything. It's trying to look, you know, like just cool,
fun, you know.
Yeah, fun, exactly. But that's enough of that Wii U. It's time to go to the 3DS download.
The machine that'll never die. The 3DS. We have a game we talked about a little bit earlier. Mighty Gunvolt Burst is out for $9.99. Perry, as you guys have most likely heard, Perry was talking, singing its praises before, so it seems like it could definitely be worth a check out if you don't have a Switch, to check it out in the 3DS.
Yeah, I was looking at the screenshots. They look awesome. So it looks really nice on the 3DS.
Do you know
as
offhand? I'm assuming it doesn't have stereoscopic
the
3D,
screenshots
but
didn't. That's why. Yeah, the screenshots didn't have the 3D, so that's why I wanted to check it out. So I don't think so.
Yeah, because Blaster Master didn't, right? I believe.
I think so. Yeah, I don't think it did. So.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure Indie Creates just sort of forgoes the 3D, which is a shame because I really like how those sprite-based games look in 3D.
I do. Yeah, and I mean, at least it's not. I feel like polygonal games look even worse when they don't have the 3D, the stereoscopic 3D.
Oh, for sure.
But the pixels, can still shine nice on the 3DS. So, yeah, looks great. So yeah, Mighty Gunvolt Burst. But the other game on 3DS is 6180 The Moon.
The Moon.
Now, yeah, I know this game has come out. I think on Wii U. I've heard of this game.
Yep. It's out for the Wii U as well.
And I don't really understand how because, well, maybe, but it's $3.99. And it's kind of cool looking. It's a platformer that uses both screens. It looks like like you're going in between each screen as you're it's pretty vertical, but it has this like really cool like retro like monochromatic style. Like kind of black and white or like just kind of one
gray tones,
color. Yeah, and it looks like just like a good challenging game. I don't know. I think it looks great. I hate the name.
Yeah, the name's sort of bad.
It's so hard to say.
I checked out actually just looking at the Wii U's page, and it looks like you actually connect, however you play the game using both the TV and the gamepad. So it actually sounds like it'd be more fit for the 3DS because they'd both be there, opposed to having to like either hold up your gamepad so it sort of lines up with the TV, or looking up and down. So it actually seems like a better fit at more at home on the 3DS.
Right, exactly. So yeah, check it out if that sounds good. I mean, $3.99 is nothing. So
the developer, Turtle Cream. What a weird name.
Instead of Turtle Wax.
Yeah. Oh,
that's amazing. But it is now time to switch over to the Switch download. And we have, I know it sounds crazy, it's a Neo Geo game.
You don't say.
But here's the thing, it's a new genre. I don't think we've had any of these from Neo Geo on Switch.
Yeah, I'm not sure either. This is Neo Geo Magical Drop 2, which is a puzzle game. It's actually a co-op puzzle game. And is it a match 3? I'm looking at it.
It's something like that. Yeah, it's you chain combos and stuff.
It's very, very, very colorful.
Yeah, and I've read reviews. I've heard it's really nice. I heard it's a good game. It's a really fun game. And
I like this quote.
Yeah, at the end of it, it says, "Please enjoy the masterpiece that built a generation for video games."
What does that even mean?
How can you say that about this dumb puzzle game? Exactly.
They like snuck that in there at the end. They're like, man, I hope Nintendo doesn't notice.
It's like you could put that on the. You should just put that on the end of every single game.
This
game.
Some might say that this podcast built a generation for podcasts.
Yeah. Please enjoy the masterpiece.
Yeah.
That built a generation for audio podcasts.
Oh, that is so freaking funny, man.
Anyway, I might check it out because it's not. I mean, that's something.
And that would have something that has long life too, that you could play, and then you could always sort of dip your toes back into it if you enjoyed it. Precisely.
But next we have the aforementioned GoNNER for $9.99 and 300 megabytes. You will die a lot. This is by design, but it's not made to feel unfair. Which is, I think that's a good That is a good way of explaining it. You will die a lot, but I don't think it's not like you'll die a lot constantly. You know, I just think it's a roguelike, so obviously you have to die a lot.
I like the next part. You'll eventually get the hang of GoNNER, so don't lose your head. But even if you do, it's okay, because we have a lot of replacement heads you can use.
Yes.
Now, if you're just reading that, like, having not played the game, you're probably like, what the heck are they even talking about?
Yeah. Yep.
Good thing
great.
Perry gave us the rundown, so we're in the loop now.
Yep, you're in the loop. Yes, everyone should get this game. Show your Nindy support. Get this game, and it's at $9.99. They priced it well. I think $9.99 is such an easy price to get anything at. I feel like, you know, like
yeah, I feel like once it jumps to that $14.99, it gets to the point where you're really starting to think about it. You know, like it's sort of a lot of money. $9.99 to me is, like you said, if it was a little cheaper, that obviously would be great. But like at $9.99, I feel like if I can get at least a couple hours of entertainment out of a title that's $9.99, you know, then I am all aboard. Especially this game seems like it has the potential to, if it gets your teeth in you, it could be hours and hours and hours.
Yeah, it's like a steal at that price, but it's not like $4.99. Like it. You know, like, it gives that worth to it, and I just think that they did it perfect. That's the perfect price for it. I mean, I was going to get it at $14.99, and I was like, oh, it's not $14.99, it's $9.99.
You know what I think they have to compete with is, like, a lot of these indie games, you know, I know GoNNER is out on Steam. A lot of these games come out on Steam, and they've been out for a while, and, you know, Steam is, like, their sales always going on. So I think they probably were looking at it as like, we might be able to sell this for $14.99, but a lot of people might look at it and go, I'll just pick it up on Steam. And I know with the Switch, you know, you get that added portability, which is nice. So I think they were sort of like, $9.99 is like a nice fair price where it doesn't seem like you're getting like bent over or anything, but you know, where it still has like perfect. A good price value to it.
Yeah, it's just that solid, you know, it's just a perfect price point, you know. It's just like it's at $10. It's right there. It's a $10 bill.
Get rid of that 10
bill. But yeah. So buy GoNNER, and then that will close it up for today's eShop Roundup.
eShop Roundup.
But Casey, we are going to kind of end our show. Well, kind of. It's the second to last.
This is the beginning of the end.
The beginning of the end. Thank you. See? You're always there to help me out when I'm stuck in between segments.
I got you.
It's time to start News Talk.
News Talk with Casey Gibson.
Alrighty, so now this week is not jam-packed with news, but, you know, got little tidbits in here. We first got news that Pac-Man Verse will be coming to the Switch in that museum, sort of compilation.
Yes.
And that's really exciting because
online.
We were actually talking about, we played that at PAX, the old-fashioned way with a GameCube and a Game Boy Advance connector cable.
Oh, that was so much fun.
So I was stoked to hear that it is coming out. Now, it's going to require 2 Switches to play. So, there's no elegant way to play it, with one.
That has to be that way, you know?
Yeah, just how the game works,
I'm just trying to think. You know what might have been smart if they had the resources is to do a download for mobile phones. That might have been a cool idea.
Yeah, that might have been something.
It wouldn't have played as well without the D-pad. So I don't think you want that. So, yeah. But I'm glad they did it. Like, I'm glad it's like they didn't go, well, they only 2 Switches, so let's just not do it. Like, I'm glad it's there, because then we will definitely play it next year, you know?
Yeah,
like,
it gives you the option.
And stuff. But I hope it's online. Like, wouldn't that be even better? Like,
well, that would be perfect. Yeah.
It would be. Like, I don't see why not. It's a really, really, really fun game. And apparently it was out on the 3DS on that Pac-Man and Galaga championship
That I did not know.
That came out for 3DS, apparently. I heard someone say that. So I kind of want to pick that up. But, yeah, that's awesome. Pac-Man Versus is really fun. It was partially designed, by Miyamoto. That was a big thing. He had involvement with it, so.
Like I said, super fun, addicting game, actually.
Yeah. Moving on, Nintendo has no comment at the moment on Super Nintendo Classic pre-orders. So,
Yep, as to be expected. Actually, if anyone is out there follows on Twitter, actually at the New York event last week, they actually had an SNES Classic there. We were embargoed and we weren't allowed to talk about it until Friday. So now that time has passed, I actually got to hold it. There's a picture of me holding it up there. It's super cool. The front flap, I remember, it looks like traditional SNES like plugins for the controllers, but that is actually like a little flap that pulls down, and then you've got your regular
your
Wii connector cables, what I mean, for the controller. Yeah, the nunchuck ones.
Cable. Yeah.
So, when we talked with them, they said the same thing. Like, oh, no word on pre-orders just yet. But it was cool to actually see it. We saw the box. It looks great, and I'm eager to hopefully. I really hope that they put pre-orders up there, and because we were lucky enough to get UK pre-orders, but to be honest with you, I would much rather the North American version.
Oh, yeah.
I know a lot of people prefer, like the UK design, but to me, it's like the SNES doesn't look like that. You know what I mean? I want the one that I'm used to looking at.
Right.
But
and, something that I haven't really heard anyone talking about at all is that I'm sure you can use that Super Nintendo controller for Wii U and Wii Virtual Console.
That would be so nice. Dude, the controller feels so good.
I know, like, it's a brand new controller, a brand new Super Nintendo controller from Nintendo.
Dude, getting those in my mitts felt like, that was the first thing. I was like, oh, this feels so nice. So nice.
It's a really good controller. And it is. And the D-pad, oh, baby.
And the cables are nice, and they're much longer than NES ones, or not much longer. I believe they're 5 feet long, opposed to, 3 feet.
Yeah.
I don't know how long the original SNES cable was. I can't imagine it was
long.
Is it?
No, it's long. Yeah, yes, because I have one hooked up to my TV. It's really long. Yeah.
Yeah, but feels really good. I'm excited.
Well, I just can't wait to use it. I mean, I honestly think that I will go back and play some of my Super Nintendo games on Virtual Console on my Wii U. Like, why not? If the ones that aren't on the thing. So, and I wonder if I can use that for Game Boy Advance games too. Man, that would be so much fun.
That'd be real nice.
Yeah, because I love that controller. Anyway, let's move on.
The next piece of news we have here is Resident Evil 7 and Metal Gear Solid 5 designer joins Nintendo EPD. His name is Jordan Amaro.
Interesting.
He worked as a level designer for Capcom and Kojima Productions, and so he's worked on Resident Evil 7, the trailer teaser Silent Hills weird game called PT. I don't know if do you remember that one?
Yep.
Yeah, so he worked on which was really cool. And he worked on the latest Metal Gear Solid, Metal Gear Solid 5. So that's pretty exciting that he's worked on some pretty high-profile games, and now he's working with Nintendo EPD. They're saying this news is coming from NeoGAF, so take it with a grain of salt. Apparently, he's been working with Nintendo since either late January or early February. And he's also apparently helping design a Switch game that has not been announced yet. And then in parentheses they said, or maybe it's Zelda DLC. So that little bit could be, hearsay, but he's definitely working with Nintendo, and I think that's really super exciting.
Let's hope it's working on Metroid Prime 4, baby.
See, that's what I'm thinking with. If, Metroid Prime 4 is working on EPD, get a nice level designer out there who's had some serious experience with some high-profile games to chip in. I am all for it, baby. I'm ready to rock and roll.
Imagine if Metroid Prime 4 is like the open-world Metroid game where where you go to different worlds and they're huge and you're by yourself, but then you can go back to your home world and get like quests and stuff. It print like quote quests, like whatever, but you can
missions.
Yeah, there you go, missions. Yeah.
No, that would be really interesting.
Yeah. But speaking of
wait.
Metroid, the Legacy Edition, that amazingly cool looking European edition, only got 1,500 copies in France.
Yeah, which is, I mean, because for those who don't know, it is unbelievable edition. It's got a really cool steel case that looks like an original Game Boy, Metroid 2 cartridge. It's got like a bunch of extra, like, because the American collector's edition has what? It's the game, a soundtrack. I think that's it, right? Isn't that literally just it? Just the game and the soundtrack?
Yeah, and I think the reversible.
Oh yeah, and the reversible
cover,
one to look.
Which is cool.
Yeah, so that's fun,
yeah.
but this edition blows it out of the water. But
it's so stupid. Oh, it makes me so mad.
Does
it cost a lot more? Does it cost a lot more?
That I don't know the price offhand. But
probably because it wasn't available for that long.
1,500 is a pretty limited run. But I mean, oh my god, I can only imagine how much that sucker's gonna go for on eBay. It's gonna be, because I'm looking at it. So it's got that really cool retro steelbook. It comes with like an insignia, like little pin, a morph ball keychain, the game. Looks like a art book, the soundtrack, the actual game, obviously, and it all comes in like a really nice package, like a really, really cool, black package with Samus's
so cool
helmet and like that really cool neon green. Oh, it looks great.
Yeah, that's okay. Good luck for the people who get them, and if you do get them, send us pictures.
Yeah, no, baby, that looks good.
Yeah.
Now,
all right, now this next story is.
This is just
amazing.
A feel-good story. This is a feel-good story that I saw this morning. Last week we had the dumb story of the week. This week we've got the heartwarming story of the week.
Oh no. I don't have time to make
Cue
a
up the jingle.
this
No,
week.
this is just so on Reddit. Someone had posted a man in Germany. He was robbed of his Majora's Mask 3DS XL and a bunch of games that he had were stolen from him. I guess he made a post, sort of just, I don't know the original post. He was just asking if there's any way to track it or whatnot. But I guess it caught some traction, obviously, and he woke up today, I believe, actually, was when it was posted a couple hours ago. It might have been last night. And he woke up to a package from Nintendo Germany, and they actually sent him a brand new 3DS XL Majora's Mask edition and a bunch of games and a card.
I'll read it.
Sure. Well, yeah, it was a double-sided card, so if you want to read the first one, I'll read the second one.
Yeah.
Perfect.
What happened to you was a devastating story. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, you dirty dog.
What happened to you was a devastating story. I really hope that they catch the thief and that justice will prevail. Now, obviously, this was probably in German, and this is a...
like a rough translation.
Yeah. But I hope to think that this is exactly what they said. But the most important thing is that nobody's mind and body got hurt. So you don't have to worry anymore. We scavenged our shelves and prepared a fitting package for you. Smiley face.
With dismay, we got a hold of the theft of your video games. Frowny. Yes, that's probably some rough translation. And that the thieves went after your Nintendo games hit us especially hard. We hope this little care package can put a smile in your face again. And then a little smiley emoji.
In your face.
Yeah, in your face, man. Yeah, so
not on your face. In your face.
So clearly some rough translation.
Yeah,
but he posted pictures along with it, and it was just, I love when companies go out of their way to do things like this and just sort of reach out to their customer and their fan base, like, hey, like, we understand shitty things happen sometimes, so here you go, we're gonna hook you up.
It's like with Alex, Mr. Panda, when the GameStop.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, and this is even cooler. So, Yeah, it's nice to get. Good job, Germany. You done good. Where France, cheaped out on the Metroids, you bucked up and you got the 3DS.
Nintendo of America probably would have just been like, we have no
My
comment.
hat's off to you.
We have no comment on your theft at the moment.
Yeah. No, no. Well, actually, I mean, if it's all digital, they replace all your games.
Yeah, it would
They
be.
actually give you money. Like, it's crazy.
Oh, like eShop money, you mean?
Yeah. You just gotta fill out a police report, and then they've given you money, or they make all your games purchasable again, downloadable. So
Well, yeah, now with the account system hopefully being a little more unified and making sense, if anything like that happens, it should hopefully be easy to download. And what's nice is this guy actually got all physical games too, so it's pretty cool.
he posts, he's like, I was lying about the whole thing.
He's like, look guys, check out my original one that I had the whole time.
And then World War III started.
Yeah, oh god. Poor Germany. But yeah, that's going to bring us to the end of the news. Like I said, it was a shorty, but, it warmed our hearts.
That's right. But we're going to end the show now with a Craigslist Roundup.
Craigslist Roundup.
Now this is a little thing, and it's props to my mama. She picked this up.
Mama Burkham.
She's at a garage sale, and so this isn't technically Craigslist. This is garage sale, but whatever, it counts. She was like, hey, they have a bunch of these video game things here, and she sent me a picture, and so they had their Super Mario Strikers and Super Paper Mario for $3 each.
Oh wow, that's not bad.
Yeah, no. So I was like, get those ones. I mean, there was other ones too. I told her to get those ones. So, yeah, those are worth at least like $10-15 each. So,
are those games that you already own?
I have Super Paper Mario, but I did not have Super Mario Strikers.
Dude, Strikers is a great game. Really, really fun.
Know.
I'd keep for $3. Keep it, dude.
Oh no, I am. Yeah. And I figure I'm gonna add it to the Super Paper Mario. Just add it to the pile of Craigslist giveaways sometime. So, yeah. So, but that was it. It's a very small Craigslist roundup.
Yeah, nothing. And the amount of money that you ended up paying for it was very small as well.
Exactly. This is just this podcast is just small on all levels.
Although, to be honest with you, I think we're probably still going to be running at about an hour and a half. So while it's shorter for sure, it's not. It's still a healthy size. Healthy.
Yeah.
But that is going to bring us to the end of our show. We will be posting this normal time, even though we recorded a little earlier. So hopefully everyone had a fantastic 4th of July. Can't even say weekend because it's right dab in the middle of the week. But make sure to check us out on Twitter, Talk Nintendo Pod. That is Talk Nintendo POD. We're also on YouTube, Talk Nintendo, just on YouTube. Nice and easy for you there. I am Case_Jets on Twitter. How about you, Perry?
I am at P Burkham, PBURKUM, as in Mama picked up some games from the garage sale.
Yes, sir. Alrighty, and I think without further ado, that will be all we have for you, and we will see you next week as always.
Giddy up.
Toodaloo! You lose your boots. You lose your boots. You lose your boots. What does that even mean?
It's props to my mama.
Mama Burkham. What does that even mean? You lose your boots. You lose your boots. What does that even mean?
It's props to my mama.
Mama Burkham. You lose your boots. You lose your boots. We have no comment on your theft. You lose your boots.
Say hello to my little friend.
Craigslist.
It's props to my mama.
You lose your boots. You lose your boots. Mama Burkham. Eehaw.